Torrin Doran. Remember his dad, Torrin Doran, great football player. Torrin Doran's a pretty darn good basketball player for NC State. Vandy and NC State coming up in 4 minutes.
It's Spee Week on ESPN as we continue Jim Valvano's fight against cancer.
Welcome to the Air Force Reserve Basketball HoopHall Miami Invitational. And this matchup is the SEC, Vanderbilt, and the ACC, NC State. The third of 4 games we have in South Florida today. The first 2 won by teams that came from behind double-digit deficits in the second half. St. John's and Texas Tech to post victories. Hello again, everybody. Along with Dallin Cuff, I'm Dave Lamont. Thank you very much for joining us. Everybody's all psyched about Vanderbilt this year and the recruiting class brought in, led by Darius Garland, who unfortunately got injured and is out for the season. How do you replace that kind of talent?
It's a trite expression, but it is true. It's not going to be just one guy to replace a guy that was going to be a lottery pick come next June. He's a fantastic player. They run so much offensively through him. Guys will have to step up, and they've got to take care of the ball against this NC State team that'll speed you up. Saban Lee is going to be handling the ball a lot more in this game, and he averages 3 turnovers a game. He's got to value the ball, as do the rest of his teammates. They like to play fast, but you can't be careless with the rock.
And you really can't be careless against a team in NC State led there by their head coach, Kevin Keatts, that is really good at turning you over.
He made his bones at UNC Wilmington, 94 feet of pressure. He brought it to NC State. He had success last year in his first year. They're having success right now doing the same thing, speeding you up, making you play uncomfortable, and turning teams over.
That's a great test for these two teams. You take a look there at Bryce Drew in his 3rd season at Vandy. First year they went to the NCAA tournament last year, just 12 victories. And he's just as curious as we are to see what his team looks like without Darius Garland.
I love when coaches say that. Now, they've played almost 2 full games, but the Kent State game, you're shell-shocked because you don't have your stars now out, that you got hurt 2 minutes into that game. And Savannah State, that was a park game, Dave, so you don't learn anything from that. This is when he's really going to learn how his team steps up and handles it without Garland.
Take a look there at Matt Ryan. Take a look at their lineup. Saban Lee, Joe Toy, Cleavon Brown, Matt Ryan, and Simisola Shitu. And a rebound for NC State off the first miss of the game.
For folks just tuning in, number 11, Black Shitu, another part of that great heralded recruiting class. He's a big guard, big forward, excuse me. They can score in the post, can put it down the deck and even create a little bit, and he's excellent in transition running the floor.
So the NC State lineup, Dorn, Beverly, who's in a little bit of a shooting slump. Markel Johnson, that shot no good. Wyatt Walker, number 33, easily identifiable with the hairstyle.
That's for sure, man. Man bun, baby.
Yep. And the mouthpiece, too. By the way, he goes double on that. So he is really easy to spot in the crowd.
Should get him some knee pads, too.
Might as well. You know, let's go all the way. Elbow pads, the whole bit. He's going to get an opportunity under here. Well defended, but his patience pays off.
Nice couple ball fakes. Cleveland Brown fell for it, kind of leaned forward, got off balance, allowing him to get into his body and finish.
Well, he has an old school game about him there, too. A couple of YMCA up fakes, and he's got 2. Lee's got a little room to work with. Oh, he blows by the defender, but no, wave it off.
Shitu's going to be called for an offensive foul in the interior. Brown is.
First foul goes against the junior from San Antonio.
A good drive there, but what Kevin Keatts is going to be upset about was miscommunication. And that in defense, they were supposed to switch 1 through 4. They didn't switch that ball screen, allow him to go right down the lane line. And that's how he felt they kind of lost that game in Wisconsin. They were up late, in control in the Kohl Center. Tough place to win, but they didn't communicate, didn't execute defensively, and that allowed the Badgers to make some big shots down the stretch.
Tough step back shot over Shitu. And Dorn, the senior from Charlotte, their leading scorer in 5 of the first 7 games, puts NC State on 4-0 lead.
He is a high-level guard that can score at all 3 levels.
Look out here! Oh! Count that basket! Runaway locomotive! Whoa.
And this is what he can do as a 5-man, folks. They gave him the ball back. He rode off the challenge by Dorn and just took off and finished. This is what NBA scouts love, his ability to get out and run and handle the ball comfortably and being able to finish through contact.
3-point play.
I mean, that's a 6'10", 240-pounder running at it, too.
But NC State very calmly comes right back down the other end. 7 to shoot. Chitsu step back. Yeah, that's not his game necessarily. Good pass to Toy off the rebound from Brown.
And Chitsu settled for that shot. To your point, he had torn Dorn on him. That's a mismatch. He wanted the ball in the post. That's where his game will develop. Demand the ball in the post. He then popped out to the short corner and had to put a shot up. Good hustle by Brown to get the offensive rebound, and Toy to be physical, go through Walker for the N1, or for the foul.
See Toy, 10 plus in his last 3 games. Too strong on the free throw, where he is a 76% shooter. Prior to that, NC State will take Walker out of the game. DJ Funderburg, former Buckeye, and also a transfer from Northwest Florida State Junior College, has come in. 1 out of 2 the line for Joe Toy.
See now Vanderbilt going into a zone. 1-3-1. They may drop this back into the 2-3. Want to give NC State different looks.
Johnson with a hook shot over Cleavon Brown.
I'll tell you what, Bryce Drew, he'll live with that. If that's how you get beat, you're going to live with that. But you'll see different defenses purely because the Commodores are a very young team. One of the 40 youngest teams in the country in terms of experience. And defensively, man-to-man, it's just not quite where it wants to be yet.
Scored that basket and an opportunity to come into the line here for Saban Lee, a sophomore out of Phoenix, the leading returning scorer. We talk about Vanderbilt being young. NC State has turned over almost the entire roster.
Yeah, only bringing back really 3 guys from last year's team that won 11 ACC games. Omar Yurtseven, a great center. He transferred to Georgetown. But they bring in a bunch of transfers. The other guy, though, CJ Bryce, you'll see come into the game. He transferred from UNC Wilmington, played for Kevin Keats for 2 years. So really, it's only 4 guys that really know what he wants. So they're really a young team trying to figure things out here, too.
Take a look at the screen. You can see exactly what we're talking about. That's 9 new faces.
Now straight 2-3 zone.
Well, now if Beverly gets going, NC State's going to love this. He's been in a bit of a slump. Broke his left hand a couple of weeks before the opener, just getting back into the kind of shape they need him to be in.
Yeah, he's only shooting 33% from the field, 34 from 3. Bear in mind, 80% of his shots are threes. But he came in confident. He took his first shot of the game, and that time he stepped right into it. Hand down, man down.
Danny Wetzel checked in for Vanderbilt and checks into the scorebook. 11-9 NC State. Johnson again. Got a little push in the back. Our officiating crew today, Joe Lindsay, Steve Anderson, and Vlad Tadal. Toy hit with his first foul. And CJ Bryce will come in, number 13. Devon Daniels checks out for the Wolfpack. Bryce played for Kevin Keats at UNC Wilmington before transferring to Raleigh.
He's an all-CAA player, Colonial Athletic Association, very good player in his sophomore season.
In a very good league.
Yeah, very good league. He's been great early on in the season, as has been North Carolina State's offense in this game. Whether it was man, 1-3-1, 2-3, they've been very aggressive and have adjusted and gotten all the looks they want and are getting the spots on the floor they want.
Ryan on the give and go had his pass blocked by the shin of Beverly. 10 to shoot. Wetzel finds the open man. Now we're going to whistle here as Toy was tripped up a little bit. We'll step aside with NC State with the early advantage here in Miami.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Air Force Reserve. College tuition assistance is available with the Air Force Reserve. Citi, welcome what's next. And Zales, 'tis the season to make an unmistakable statement. Find your style at Zales.
Let's go back to the injury suffered by Darius Garland. Watch here. It's a great move, Dallin, but unfortunately the landing is what cost him.
Yeah, the irony is he showcased what he's all about. Great crossover dribble, spinning away from the screen, finishing crafty with his left hand. Went out 2 minutes into that Kent State game. That was him on the bench at the end of the game. They ended up losing by 2 to the Golden Flashes. And that team, as we said earlier, was a bit shell-shocked throughout the course of that rest of the 38 minutes. When you lose your lead guard, your lead dog, it's a lot to overcome.
And we have a shot clock mistake, so they're going to have side out of bounds here for the Wolfpack. No foul or anything, just a shot clock problem. And then they fixed it with 27 on there. Dribbling in traffic. Johnson was able to save it. Vanderbilt. Bryce in the paint. Travel. You know, it's weird watching the officiating videos and seeing they're emphasizing traveling this year.
Yeah.
Have they? Did they ever not?
In a college game, no. It's usually been a point of discussion. In the NBA game's a little different.
Well,
watching Golden State and Toronto the other day, they called 2 travels in the final 2 minutes of that game.
That is
I almost fell out of my couch.
That's an NBA record, by the way. 2 travels
You're
called in a game. Yes.
It was against Jonas Jerebko and Andre
okay.
Iguodala. It wasn't exactly KD and Kawhi, but still.
Eric Lockett, number 5, playing defense, is checked in there for the Wolfpack. That ball thrown away by Ryan. He thought it was touched. The official not agreeing.
Worked on this and shoot around a lot. They're going to try to find different ways to score. Without Garland, they run more motion, and here they were trying to isolate Shitu in the block, and they lift everybody on the weak side. So there's no weak side help and try to lob it over the top. Problem is the pass has got to be on point. It wasn't.
Tough drive in traffic. Rebound going down for Shitu for Vanderbilt. He's 6'10", a freshman from Burlington, Ontario. And a player to watch in the SEC this year. And they got a little mismatch here too. And lost out of bounds again by the Commodores. And that was one of the points of emphasis for NC State tonight, was turn them over.
3 turnovers already. Matt Ryan did not break stride, by the way. Went off his foot, and he just jogged right to the bench because he knew he was coming out right there. You've got to value the ball. We talked about it off the top. Strong with the ball, smart with the ball, take care of it. NC State puts enough pressure on you. You can't have the unforced ones.
So that brought Maxwell Evans into the game, number 3, defending on the ball right now.
Good high-low.
Vanderbilt off the window and good. 15-9, Wolfpack.
Great delivery by Helens. The high-low pass, we were talking about pass on point. That was on point. No ball pressure, made him pay.
And here's that pressure from NC State we expected to see. Joe Toy does a nice job. Then lost it. Looked like they wanted to go inside to Wetzel. Instead, an awkward shot tipped up and no good. And the Wolfpack will come out running. Well, Vanderbilt was wide open. They found him.
Took some time. Transition defense is key. They've scored a number of times on secondary break just by getting out and beating the defense before it's set. Can't have that happen for the Commodores.
Been a while since Vandy has scored. The Wolfpack gets the slam to go up by 8.
Back here in Miami in the American Airlines Arena, critical part of this game is transition defense. You got to communicate. 3 guys ran at the ball, leaving DJ Vanderbilt wide open underneath. You've got to know who's got ball, who's got the next 2 passes, and be completely in sync. This is a young group again by the Commodores, and they're showing it right there.
And Ken Pom had them as the 316th most experienced team in college basketball.
Bottom 50 in the country. They are a young squad.
They're on about a 3-minute scoring drought right now, too. Trying to break a 6-0 run with that. It's an air ball. The shot clock doesn't reset, doesn't matter, as Blake Harris comes in and throws it away after getting the rebound. Now he steals it right back. And without the numbers, Harris wisely retreats. Bryce on a contested drive, rebound to Wetzel. That's a smooth lefty J there from Maxwell Evans. He had 16 the other night on the win over Savannah State.
So they're icing ball screens. They're not letting North Carolina State come over that ball screen. When you do that, sometimes you got to find a way to dribble, drive into the traffic there. Bryce tried to do the possession before. Harris opted to get it reversed.
NC State shooting 9 of 13 so far.
Oh, Vanderbilt. That's a good call by Joe Lindsay. He just didn't need to do it. The pass was just, it was a wayward pass, and he just put his hands on him at the very end. You can see his back kind of bow. That may or may not have been caught. You just didn't need to do it. It was the right call for sure.
You see the field goal shooting. Vanderbilt at 40%. NC State can shoot it. They're at 50%, almost 51. That's best in the conference.
They're one of the best shooting teams in the country, really. They've come in, their effective field goal percentage per Ken Pomeroy, 58%. That's good for 15th in the nation right now. They're really shooting it well from the exterior, but in this game, they're getting any shot they want. They're getting any spot on the floor in transition or in the half court right now.
Chitu being covered very closely, and he will be hit with the offensive foul. That'll be his second as he took down Helms.
And that's big. We talk about Darius Garland being out. First on Chitu.
Yeah, correction.
My fault. That's being a bad teammate. I thought it was second foul. I put 2 fingers out there.
You did put 2 fingers up, yes.
They're going to take it
But I
out.
appreciate you, oh, they want to see if this is going to be a little bit more than just a common foul here.
And now we talk about Garland not playing. That's huge. You can't lose Chitu as well, so he's got to be smart in how he plays. Taking a look here.
My vote is common foul, but I don't know. Let's take another look at it.
Yeah, that's just his shoulder. I mean, I don't think you can call a flagrant on that at all. They're saying it was the off arm. It was, but it was shoulder more than it was elbow. But we'll see what the referees come back with. I think that should be common foul. But he's got to be careful. He can't pick up another one. Can't play timid, but you don't want to get him in 2 fouls early on because they lack creativity right now. And that's what they're trying to find. Without Garland, at times, literally, you can give a guard like that's that good the ball and say, go do something, as they call a common foul. But now you can't do that. He's not here. So now you don't have that dude that literally can just do whatever he wants at times, create for himself and create for his teammates. Who can create for themselves, but more importantly, who's going to make your teammates better? He made everybody better. He made everybody's job easier, and now nobody is there to do that. We'll see if anybody can emerge today.
And if you ask Bryce Drew, who's as nice as they come, he'll tell you, I really don't know yet.
It's again, young team. You're going to figure it out.
It might be one guy one night. It might be somebody else the next night. It's going to be by committee, so to speak, until they get it all figured out. That's why I think this is such a great test for Vanderbilt. Quality ACC team is going to test you, and you're going to find out a lot about your team tonight. On the putback, White Walker back in the game. He was fouled. We'll step aside. Beautiful inside, and of course, this is a great time of the year to be in South Florida.
Sorry to anybody that's up in the Northeast right now.
On Tuesday, it's the 24th annual Jimmy V Classic from Madison Square Garden. Oklahoma and Notre Dame square off for the first time at 7 o'clock Eastern. Then Florida takes on West Virginia. Both games on ESPN and the ESPN app. Here in Miami, the third of 4 games in the HoopHall Invitational Miami. And NC State in front 19-11. And you see the assists for NC State. And that's on 9 field goals, 6 assists.
Only 2 turnovers. The other side, 1 assist, 5 turnovers. And both coaches talked about needing to be able to have assists, have guys be able to create for their teammates. You see Helms come in and have a big impact creating for himself right there.
You know, he's drawing a charge, comes up with a layup there. And I think to your point earlier, Dallin, they are getting whatever they want offensively.
Yeah, I do like what Bryce Drew was trying to do, change defenses, maybe more zone, because in man-to-man right now, they are getting broken down off the dribble and off the pass.
Count it. Just pure power from Chitu.
You see NC State right now in a huddle talking, trying to figure out what happened there. Ball screen coverage, Lockett late to get over, the help late. Helms never really sunk in. There was no weak side help. Harris should be rolling over. Not really 5 guys playing on a string. When you have that happen, that's how you give up layups.
And Walker will go to the bench. He has 2 fouls, and Vanderbilt will come back in. And NC State with a line change here.
That's part of having this team, too, that Kevin Keats has. Only 3 guys returning from last year's roster. And let's be honest, their first 5 opponents were teams that were below, I believe, 150 or 160 was the highest the Ken Pom rated team they played. Most of them, they're 2 and 300. So they hadn't have quality competition until Wisconsin. He's still trying to figure out his rotations, who to play when and in what situations.
Well, Vanderbilt takes advantage of an air ball, and Naismith is able to come in with a bucket there to cut it to 6. If you're Vanderbilt, you've built your whole team around a freshman who's not there now after injury. Vanderbilt gets the steal, and they turn it right back over. Great effort by Matthew Moyer, but he stepped out of bounds.
Yeah, great possession, though, defensively. They were locked in, they were communicating, they knew what the ball screen coverage was. They were able to keep Markel Johnson in front. The only mistake was Chitu leaving his feet when Johnson gave that great head fake. But other than that, he had guys recovering there to help it.
A lot of contact. It's a block. It is a block. The official pointed to the circle. as that's where the defender was.
And this is where the inconsistencies are. We praise them on one end, then the other end, ball screen, no help at all, right down Broadway. And as you see, his right toe is in there. You have to get both heels outside of the arc. The arc goes all the way up through the roof, so you have to be off that colored line entirely, and he was not.
And Daniels missing on the first free throw. Devin Daniels out of Battle Creek, Michigan, started at Utah, and then also played with Josh Jackson in high school at Pacific Prep in Napa, California. Daniels got a piece of that, but did he get a piece of the Charger too? And he did. That'll be his first.
Again, ball screen coverage wasn't very good, and that is an easy call for the official right on the wrist. But it's the same thing we saw on the other side. Ball screen coverage wasn't good. He was able to turn the corner and get going right downhill at a straight line drive to the basket. You can't have that happen.
Saban Lee missing the free throw. In that loss to Kent State, Vanderbilt hurt themselves with 11 missed free throws in their own gym too, by the way, and they only lost that game by 2. And right now they're 3 out of 6 from the line.
It's a simple game sometimes, Dave. You got to make shots, and that's what Kent State did. Kent State shot over 50% from 3. They shot 75% from the free throw line, and Vanderbilt struggled both areas.
Well, 3 out of 7 from the foul line. Now what a move! All ball on that block, and a loose ball. Going to be ruled out of bounds against Vanderbilt, and NC State will get it back.
This is great. Snakes, he goes away from the ball screen, great inside out to freeze the defender. Johnson goes high, but what a block.
I think you have to give a half a block here.
It might be 2 different dudes. The only reason they stayed on this end of the court is Shitsu's body was out of bounds, and he didn't reestablish in play before he caught the ball. I don't know how Torn Dorn's shot goes in, but it does.
Why do you say that?
It's a laser. It has no arc on it. It is a straight shot. When you have arc, you have more room for error, better opportunity. The ball goes in, can get a roll. He doesn't have an arc, but it doesn't really matter. He can shoot it. Shooting 52% from three-point line this year.
And from close up, Maxwell Evans, a sophomore, started 15 games as a true freshman last year. One of those guys may be able to emerge and play a lot of minutes with Garland out for the season.
See, they're putting Shitsu into a lot of ball screen situations. Kevin Keats said he thought they could take advantage because he's a young guy. He's a freshman. He tore his ACL last year. He only started practicing about 3 weeks before the season started. So that's where the biggest gap is between high school and college is defensively, and he's still behind. You can see it on some of his ball screen defense, his communication, and his execution.
Where's no knee brace, though? No knee. You wouldn't even know if you look at him. He doesn't have any KT tape, nothing. Tomorrow at 4 Eastern on ESPN, we'll have #1 Notre Dame taking on #2 UConn in the Women's Jimmy V Classic in South Bend as NC State pads their lead to 9 again. Of course, the Irish had that big win over the Huskies in the Final Four last year.
What a Final Four that was by Notre Dame.
Spectacular. That ought to be a wonderful game to watch. Lee saw lane, floated, missed. Naismith has it, lost it. And after all of that, Vandy gets a bucket.
Without Garland, you're going to have to find ways to manufacture points. One of them is on the offensive glass. There's got to be a level of effort and focus on that to crash the glass and get extra opportunities.
Beautiful drive by Markel Johnson, the junior out of Cleveland, who had 21, a career high in that loss to the Badgers a few days ago. Plus 5 assists.
He's already got 4 today.
Three-pointer. Haven't seen a lot of 3 shot in this game, actually.
This game is a throwback to the 1990s, it feels like.
Yeah.
A lot of less. They're not a ton of ball screens, a lot of ball screens, but a lot of transition basketball. Guys using head fakes, getting into the lane, finishing at the rim. Partially that is because Commodores defensively have really struggled. Again, the last possession, too, was just a drive right down Broadway. This one, a transition opportunity. He got all the way to the free throw line before anybody stopped him. Shot fake, get your defender in the air, then get the foul.
Joe Toye hit with his 2nd foul. So that'll bring Matt Ryan off the bench in a moment. Here's Dorn. Well, a guy who plays in this building professionally, Dwayne Wade, would be proud of him. not this move, but that stop and drawing the foul.
But you see the guy in the corner, there's zero help. Like,
Yeah.
If he's driving down Broadway, you've got to get in there, help out, and then try to recover and contest a shot. If anything, you want to force them to shoot a 3 right now. Now, if that's Braxton Beverly, yeah, you might be picking your poison, but you've got to do something because they are getting to the rim at will.
They've only had 6 3-point baskets shot in this game. Only 1 has gone in, that by the Wolfpack. So Vandy's 0 for 4 from 3.
Zone pressure, different look. So they go with their zone defense, and then they got confused. They got the ball in the middle of it. Nobody picked up the ball, and that guy, again, he can finish. We know that much.
And no one's taking that charge either.
I'd do it, Dave. I'd put my body on the line.
Would you? Okay.
I would. I'd be embarrassed because I'm probably getting pumped with just piped on, but it's okay.
You would look like the road runner.
Yep.
And we're going to get a blocking call there.
I liked NC State throwing out that different zone pressure, but it doesn't always work like you draw it up. They did a good job of getting to the middle, the Commodores did, and then shit too. Finishes at the rim, easy. Down 9 though, and they do it on the other end. That'll change this game.
Vandy at the free throw line as we return. Gallon Cuff, Dave Lamont, and our ESPN crew. Game 3 for this bunch. Our congratulations and our thanks to our crew who's been here since the crack of dawn at American Airlines Arena in downtown Miami, home of the Miami Heat. And Saban Lee getting a free throw, which has not been Vanderbilt's thing so far. And after he went 0 for 2 his previous trip, he goes 2 for 2 here.
He's fortunate to get the roll. He almost straightens his legs entirely before he releases the ball on his free throw. It's tough to do that. Usually makes him flatter and shorter.
Vandy now 5 out of 9. Alley-oop! Oh, Vanderbilt.
So they go into the zone, don't communicate behind the zone. Shitu steps up blindly, dunk.
Ryan, he can shoot it. But Vandy's still without a 3-point basket in this game.
Stop the ball.
I've gotten the impression that you're not impressed with Vanderbilt's defense.
This is not to crush the team, but I am a broken record. But again, it's a young team, and they're just not executing defensively. And actually, Bryce Drew told us something interesting. When playing with Garland, they thought, we're going to have some defensive mistakes. We're going to play fast. We got a lead dog that can go get us baskets on the other end and create. So we're going to deal with some defensive miscues. Well, guess what? You can't play that way now, so defensively, they've got to tighten up.
Saban Lee's going back to the line to attempt his 6th and 7th free throws. There we go with a beautiful dish. And Daniels will be hit with his 2nd foul for the Wolfpack. This could be a top 10 nominee.
And you see Shitu staring at the ball, has no awareness who's behind him. Matt Ryan not communicating. Nobody's talking. The zone gets screened up top. That's problem 1. So he's able to turn and look and see. And problem 2 is nobody in the back line has any clue, any vision what's going on around them or behind them.
So back into the game is Helms, who played very well in this half. His minutes were very productive coming off the bench earlier. And Lee's gotten his stroke back at the foul line. Vandy trails again by 9. But you know what? The way things have gone today, if you go into the dressing room at halftime trailing, you're in good shape. The first 2 games were won by the team losing at halftime. That is Helms. He's a freshman. Went to the same high school as Jason Tatum and Bradley Beal. Actually played a couple of years with Tatum and showed a sweet move there.
That was a phenomenal finish. And he's playing with tremendous confidence. Came right in the game and got a basket early on. He's playing with confidence. You can see it there, attacking Shitu, a future NBA player, with abandon.
Quick substitution here for Bryce Drew. You bring in Cleavon Brown, and Matt Ryan will check out. Oh, yes! Oh, off the inbound! Brown!
Now Kevin Keats' turn to be upset at his defense. That was just a simple screen. There was no communication on that, and you got a high-level athlete like that, you see the result.
1 out of 3 now, the Wolfpack, who are shooting nearly 70%, but their 3-point percentage is off. Here's Naismith. That's the first 3 for Vandy, and they cut the lead for 6. And now that's 1,038 straight games with a three-pointer for Vanderbilt. You literally go back to the beginning of the rule in the 80s, and Vandy has had a three in every game. Helms missed on the putback. The rebound controlled by Vandy, and there is an inadvertent foul. I don't think Vanderbilt meant it, but it happened.
The thing about Vanderbilt, too, is when they can get stops, they're excellent in transition. And they're able to get a stop. They got a three. Here's the play before. Just a simple ball screen. Vanderbilt runs right into it. There's no help from anybody. There's no communication. And you end up with a dunk. And then Naismith getting the rebound down there and getting fouled 93 feet from the basket. This is a huge momentum point of this game. Is I am crushing Vanderbilt's defense because it's been poor, but guess what? They're in this game. They're only down 6 still, despite that, because they have a lot of talent. They can still score the ball.
And they could get down to 4. Tuesday is the 24th annual Jimmy V Classic from Madison Square Garden, Oklahoma. Notre Dame squaring off for the first time ever at 7 Eastern. And then it's the Gators taking on West Virginia. Both games on the ESPN app and, of course, on ESPN. So how about this? It's a 4-point game.
Vanderbilt stays in the zone. You want to see guys pointing, talking, communicating.
One coming up here. Foul on Naismith, his second. So starting to pile up foul numbers as Yanni Wetzel will come back in. He's a New Zealander from Auckland. And here is Dorn, who is a 67% foul shooter coming into the game. Incredible athletic family. That's a little bit too hard. We'll tell you more about that as the evening goes on. Following this game on ESPN3, it will be Miami and Yale. And we got the Dukies following us on ESPN2. The good game for Jericho Helms continues.
I mean, I'll tell you what, that's an ill-advised shot that went in. He was a get it in transition, bad turnover, and you want to take that to the basket. You want to be aggressive and try to get fouled or finish at the rim. He settles for a mid-range jumper. He is feeling it right now.
See his numbers, making 50% of his shots so far. Skip pass, and it's out of bounds. A little bit erratic, and Vandy had that little bit of momentum, got it down to 4, and they've now had a basket against them and a turnover.
Self-inflicted 7th turnover of the game, and those last 2, again, were completely unforced. The one was just didn't get open, didn't deliver the pass up top, leading to Helms the other way, and this time, get us to have better court awareness.
And the Wolfpack 8 points off turnovers. Vandy has not scored off of the measly 2 North Carolina State turnovers. Dorn, that's a tough shot. Tough made by Cleavon Brown. Meantime, whistle will go against the Commodores.
Good offense from NC State. Get the ball reversed, screening the high part of the zone, getting Dorn to go down the lane line. You're right, it was a tough shot. We'll show you that from earlier in the game. That was a nice screen of the zone and lob down low, but their defense was better on this possession with Shitu stepping up to help. But you got to clean it up, too. Get the rebound.
Jay Funderburk, and apparently he's got a little cut, and the referee, Joe Lindsay, is sending him off to see the trainer. The blood rule will go into effect here. Should be a quick fix.
I think they know that Duke's playing behind us, too, so they're going to press the time. They know they got to be quick.
NC State 6-1 on the year. They've had the lead at halftime in every game this season. And kind of just sort of fell apart a little bit near the end against Wisconsin. Had about 787 charges called against NC State in that game, of which about 780 of them were probably blocks.
Brad Davison took 5 of them, and they were some good calls. That place is so tough to win.
Not all of them.
Not all of them. Not all. You're right. Not all of them. Now, don't think the refs don't get caught up in that atmosphere in the Kohl Center too.
Yeah,
and for sure.
Good point.
And the refs love making that pointing motion the other way, man. Nothing makes them happier.
You know, they blow the whistle an extra time or two also on those offensive fouls just to get your attention. Wetzel, by the way, was hit with that foul earlier, and that's his first.
So Shitu out, Naismith out. Who's going to create for this group? This is what Bryce Drew wants to figure out.
He's got Wetzel just inside the three-point line. It's not going to work, and the rebound to Bryce. Beverly with a quick pass over to Dorn. And NC State working the ball around the perimeter beautifully. Another difficult shot over an outstretched arm. And Wetzel will start things off for the Commodores. Now gets it off to Toy. The one thing I'm learning, though, is it looks like this is Saban Lee's team as far as at least who's going to be running the offense.
He'll be initiating a lot of offense, but he's a different type of player. He's not a creator that's going to be helping a lot of guys get shots, but he will have the ball in his hands quite a bit now.
NC State up 7, 3:22 to go. Looking for win number 7 and number 100 for Kevin Keats' career.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Dave & Buster's, the only place to eat, drink, play, and watch sports. And Liberty Mutual Insurance. Only pay for what you need.
Coming up on the E-Trade halftime report, Gonzaga wins. Villanova comes back, and Michigan is just a bunch of meanies. All of that and more.
Iggy Brazdeikis is a tough dude. Xavier Simpson is a tough dude. John Teskey is a tough dude. I mean, these guys, everything is difficult on the defensive end. And then they got dudes. They can score on the offensive side. Charles Matthews, other guys, Brazdeikis, we already mentioned, they can flat out play. That team is outstanding. Not just beating people. They're hammering people.
Ask Uncle Roy. He thought he was going to retire during the press conference. The team that's following us on ESPN2 is not too terrible either.
Blue Devils.
Yeah.
Fun watch, to say the least, those freshmen. But think of it, they have 3 freshmen that have scored 20 points in a game. The only other team to do that is Vanderbilt.
That's correct.
Naismith did it last game, and obviously Shittu and Garland have done it before. A lot of promise here for the Commodores.
There is Shittu, a little wild on that shot.
But Dave, that's the first time he's had the mismatch with Dorn. He's tried to take him. I'd rather him catch it on the block, but he can exploit that advantage physically a little bit.
Vanderbilt had it blocked. He'll get another try. You know, his body reminds me of a little bit Vanderbilt. Remember? Yeah, I know you remember Robert Parrish.
Of course.
Does that body look a little bit similar?
That's a good call. Let's see if his free throw looks better than
the Chief?
Than the Chiefs.
Yeah, he's. I don't think he's quite as tall as the Chief. He's not. Chief is just about a 7-footer. But the build, the arms.
Yeah, it's a
when
good
I look
call.
at him, I see the Chief.
Stroke looks good too. It's a great second jump to get that rebound too. He's not the most athletic guy, but he's long and a great quick bounce to get that rebound and earn himself a chance to get to the line. Critical last 2 minutes and 50 seconds here because Vanderbilt made that little run to cut it to 4. Since then, NC State has pushed it back to double digits. Vanderbilt can't let this one get away from them. If they can chip into this and get it under 10 points, they'd feel pretty good given how they played defensively in this half.
NC State has equaled their largest lead of this evening. Third game of the HoopHall Invitational, Miami version. Ryan will take off. He is stopped. He is patient. He can't get it to go. Gets it back.
Stopped, patient, and traveled, and it wasn't called. That always helps.
Yeah, I left that word out, didn't I?
Very nice. You can actually hear the Vanderbilt bench yelling, 2 minutes, let's go. They know they want to get this thing to break and get a couple stops going into break.
What would be a good deficit for Vandy?
Anything under 10, I think you feel okay, because you didn't play your best, but you're still in striking distance.
The official's not buying. Bryce with a sharp pass, and Shittu takes care of that shot by Helms and leads the offense and then loses it. But fortunately for them, Vandy's going to keep it. Ryan's going to double dribble, travel, you name it. Lots going on there. Great defense and a recovery by Torin Dorn to screw up Ryan's rhythm. That's turnover number 8.
That's a great point, because it was Torin Dorn's recovery that forced that, because Ryan thought he had the opportunity, but he did not, because Dorn hustled, closed him down, and caused the problem. And Shittu, he can lead the break in space. When he's going behind your back 2-3 times, you're getting in trouble there.
Good perimeter passing for the Wolfpack. Mid-range jumper, and Ryan will grab it.
Not a great one from C.J. Bryce. Contested by Shittu, not easy. Early in the shot clock, ball was whipping around. Get it moving again against the zone.
Good solid screen by Wetzel, and Lee turns it over literally for turnover number 9.
This is the issue. When we talk about NC State forcing you into turnovers, it's forced 9 turnovers now. I'd say half of those are unforced. You've got to be strong and smart with the ball. When you do pressure them, they're pressuring you out to 26, 27 feet, you've got to be strong with the ball. And Lee was just a little lackadaisical with it and turned it over.
Dorn left open. That is way off. You can see right away when it left his hand that was not going to make it. Ooh. Shit, just overwhelmingly blocks it.
I thought you were going to leave the U off that because that's what it came to mind when I saw the block.
I tell you what, I won't be the first broadcaster to stumble over that one as the year goes on. I wonder if that guy's going to grow more. Can you imagine if he puts on a little bit more muscle?
I wouldn't be surprised. He might get you a couple more inches vertically, too. Wow. I mean, he's still 18 years old, physically an imposing specimen.
52.8 to go. Kevin Keats wants a timeout as he goes for his 100th victory. You go back to his days at North Carolina Wilmington, where he was outstanding there. 3 years there, got him in the tournament, and got the job in Raleigh. Yes, he did. They had a very nice team under Kevin Keats. Tonight we have the Dr. Pepper ACC Championship game. Pitt and number 2 Clemson from Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte. A spot of the college football playoffs on the line for the Tigers, 8 o'clock Eastern on ABC and the ESPN app. You got Alabama losing at halftime to Georgia. You have UCF struggling at home to Memphis. They were down 38-21 at the half. As Darrell Henderson has run for more than 200 yards for Memphis.
You know my only issue with the championship games in college football? Halftime. And then you can make the money by throwing the ball.
Or kicking, yeah.
They're throwing chest passes now. They're not throwing the ball like a football.
Right.
They're throwing chest passes to make money. We got to put some rule in here. It's football, not basketball.
What do they say? You have to make a move common to the game.
There you go.
That's the rule you need to enforce.
If we're giving away $1 million, we've got to have some rules. We're living in a society, as George Costanza once said.
9 to shoot. Good pass, Beverly. Vanderbilt, count it! He'll go to the line. Give Braxton Beverly the assist.
Tremendous patience from the entire Wolfpack team there. Against the zone, they're on their heels a bit, but then Bryce able to come through, make 2-play-1. Beverly gets in lane, make 2-play-1, drops it off. He could have taken a tough floater. Really smart to drop that off to Vanderbilt.
Well, Vanderbilt has 16 points. His season high coming into the game was 13. He also has 3 boards and an assist. And he'll also get a little bit of a rest. As now NC State has a new largest lead of the evening. So this is not going the way you had said it needed to go for the Commodores in the final 2 minutes.
They can execute here and get a basket. You still steal some momentum going into break.
Step back. No. Waved off. Offensive foul on Saban Lee.
Torin Dorn, really excellent recovery speed. He switched and his feet weren't quite right. See, they're angled parallel to the sideline, giving that lane. There's not a lot of contact there. Lee's arm was out, but I think Dorn just rolled his ankle.
Yeah. Now Dorn, step back. And that'll do it. Vanderbilt was trailing at halftime only one other time this season. That's when they lost at home to Kent State. At the half, it's Vanderbilt up, rather down to NC State, 46-34. Let's head to the studio for our E-Trade halftime report after these messages.
It's V Week on ESPN as we continue Jim Valvano's fight against cancer.
Welcome back to the Air Force Reserve Basketball HoopHall Miami Invitational. The third of 4 games today at American Airlines Arena sees NC State looking good over Vanderbilt. Medallion Cup, Dave Lamont, thank you for joining us. You were not a fan of Vanderbilt's defense in that first half. NC State certainly had plenty of great opopportunities.
Yeah, Bryce Drew isn't either. And he told us before the game that he wasn't sure what he was going to get on the offensive end. And defensively, it's a young team trying to figure things out. Well, they've got a lot of progress to be made in this half. And they've been able, North Carolina State, to get in the lane, whether that be on the bounce or the pass, as easy as they want. It's a man-to-man, zone, transition. There's a lot to be cleaned up here for Vanderbilt. A lot of it can be done with communication, a lot of it being 5 guys tied in together. and a lot of times just effort. So all those things are lacking. On the other side of the ball, turnovers were a concern coming into the game for Vanderbilt, and they've prevailed. They've had 11 turnovers in this game, right? It should be 10 turnovers in this game, leading to 14 points for NC State. When you're playing without your lead guard, your point guard, and Darius Garland, taking care of the ball is going to be critical. They've struggled with that so far this game, and it continues.
Vanderbilt has not scored off NC State turnovers. There were only 2 in the first half, and we played 13 seconds, and the Wolfpack turned it over on their first possession.
And this is indicative of the game. 11 assists, now 3 turnovers for NC State. 5 assists, 10 turnovers for Vanderbilt.
Shitu from long range. I don't think that's why they brought him to Nashville, and he misses.
He can shoot it. The thing is, he's got to understand timing. You don't need that shot one pass into the possession. The other side of the ball, Braxton Beverly turns it over. If you're Kevin Keats, as he's got this furrowed brow on his face, just kind of wondering, what are we doing here, guys? We're only up 12. We're not boat racing a team that's, you know, bottom 300 in the country. This is still an SEC opponent. You got to come out and play.
Did everything I just say go right out the other ear is probably what he's thinking, as Shitu will be fouled by Devin Daniels.
I'd like to see them find a way to showcase Shitu a little bit more, get him in a ball screen and roll on a cleared outside, allowing him then to roll into the post. Good help, late help coming over there by Devin Daniels, but in the end, getting Shitu to the line. And I'd like to see them find ways to screen and roll him into the post, isolate at times him in the post, and play through him a bit.
Third foul on Daniels. And he's staying in the game.
He picked up those 2 early in the game. He really hadn't had much of an impact on him. We'll see how he settles into this one.
Off the Walker screen, in traffic, pitched back out to Dorn. In the corner, Johnson. 1v1 here. A third possession and a third turnover.
Vanderbilt, tired team off the bench. Different group starting this half. Matthew Moyer, the Syracuse transfers in. Naismith, the freshman that had 9 points off the bench quickly, also 2 fouls. They've played with a lot of energy these first couple possessions and are looking to turn the page. Was already, as we said, a bad first half defensively, but they don't want to make it a bad game that way. They've done a good job in the first 3 possessions.
Shitu has had a couple of roaring dunks already in this game. That 3-ball no good. Walker got a hand on the rebound, and a tough rebound in traffic for Daniels. Dorn. Another turnover for NC State. 4 for 4. And off the bench will come Jericho Helms, who had a terrific first half. He will replace Dorn.
Kevin Keats getting in Dorn right away. Just cannot turn it over. Back-to-back possessions like that.
Wow. What an unfocused start here for the Wolfpack. Now a touch foul in the backcourt. Corner 3, no good. Rebound chased down by Beverly, who steals it. Oh my, blocked. Naismith. And the Wolfpack turn it over again.
Tell you what, the Commodores have come out ready to play in the second half. That was actually a good offensive possession. They don't get the shot to go, but hustle, continue, don't give up on the play. Multiple efforts by the freshman Naismith result in a highlight block.
Shitu crossed over. Oh. And count that basket!
That kid's gonna make a lot of money playing ball.
Wow.
Strong finish, 6'10", 240.
Wyatt Walker now has 3 fouls. He will leave the game. Daniels leaves also with 3 fouls. C.J. Bryce and DJ Funderburk will come in. Now, Funderburk had a gigantic first half, 16 points off the bench for Kevin Keats' Wolfpack. There's a missed opportunity, a 3-point play, but a loose ball. Shitu jumps on it. Lee. Taken down, no call. Johnson. In among the trees, no good, tapped out. Naismith fighting for it, goes into the second row. And collision there with Braxton Beverly.
Man, I like Naismith a lot, man. He is playing with incredible energy. Those 2 fouls are what actually took him out of the game. He had 9 quick points. A lot of contact there, but he is playing with tremendous energy, as is his entire Commodores crew. Bryce Drew really lit a fire under his team at halftime.
Oh my heavens, who is this guy?
Heavens to Betsy!
Heavens to Murgatroyd! Wow! I mean, we know who he is. We know he's a fine player, but suddenly.
This is, again, what he was showing why he's going to make money being a player, because he's 6'10", 240, great feet, great hands, great agility, and ability to finish around the rim.
And a 6-0 run just got shut down by Helms. And we'll get a timeout here. And while Kevin Keats might be happy the lead is back up to 9, I don't think he's happy with much else with his Wolfpack. Yep, they still lead it by 9 in the second half.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Liberty Mutual Insurance. Only pay for what you need.
Early second half here at American Airlines, and Simi Shittu, freshman, is showing all his skills early in the second half as this Commodore team went lifeless into break. He invigorated him with some life in the first half, but this second half, these are the moves he's making. High degree of difficulty, through bodies, through contact, Euro stepping, 6'10", 240. His versatility, his skill level, his size will make the NBA scouts that are here in attendance excited for this kid's future.
There's been as many as 25 in and around this building today. And I'm pretty sure they stuck around to watch this young man.
And now you see Saban Lee talking to him, asking for the ball back, but where Shittu's going to have to get more advanced and understand the game. He caught the ball on the sideline. You're getting pressed. They put the ball over your head. You're immediately weak, and there's nothing you can do with it. You get that thing low. Maybe you jab right. You start left. You get away from the sideline, give it to a point guard, and go up there and continue what you're doing on the offensive end. Don't force bad positions.
Johnson finding Vanderbilt in traffic, but his shot was intimidated, and Vandy comes right back. Lee in traffic, gets it back.
Shot clock is off.
Shot clock is definitely wrong.
Bryce Drew upset with that. Not so much at his team, but more at the scorer's table, because that would have been an open 3 for Naismith. Now he missed it, but the ball whistle had blown, and you lose a little concentration, but that's a good look for a good shooter.
Toy. And the Wolfpack will have it.
Vanderbilt, I know they like to play fast, but they're better off if they're not going to score in transition to get to the second and third side. Make the North Carolina State's defense work too. Work from side to side, get some screening action in there, get some ball movement, some player movement.
It's Braxton Beverly with the ball now, playing off the screen. That shot did not look good coming out of his hand, and it belonged to the Commodores. It's funny, though, we talked about NC State. They turned the ball over 5 times in the first minute 45. They're still ahead by 9.
Yeah, you're still in control, but you never want to come out of the halftime like that. When you play such a great first 20 minutes, to have the next 3 or 4 be so bad that you, A, give life to the Commodores, and you now are digging yourself out a little bit of a hole.
That's going to be a little reach and not much of a foul, but enough to draw Markel Johnson into the book with a personal.
Especially with the young team, Dave, you're playing against. You want to find a way to expand that lead and like and break their hearts a little bit. If you get it to 20 points or so, they may cave in as a young squad.
3 Wolfpack players now with 3 fouls, Johnson being the 3rd. Keeping an eye on that. Naismith. And Johnson almost got a 4th. Great hustle by Vanderbilt, and Johnson will get things into the front court for NC State. Off the screen, driving on Wetzel, the dish, the Beverly 3. And a rebound for Vanderbilt, pulled down by Moyer. And we are going to have a foul away from the ball, and this looks like it's going to be on Vanderbilt as Naismith goes down and goes down hard. Now another Wolfpack player with 3 personal fouls. DJ Vanderbilt joins the list. Watch the flying form of Markel Johnson, number 11 in white. And watch where he lands and how he lands. That left foot there, awkward as he goes into the seats. And he started the timeout in those seats over there until the trainer recognized what was going on. And Johnson now being led into the dressing room here at American Airlines Arena.
Hope he's okay, and that is a key guy for this team. He's got 4 points, more importantly, 6 assists. He really keys their offense, able to put pressure on the ball and really set the point of attack at times in the defensive end as well.
Saban Lee over to Evans, who's checked into the game. He's tripped. I mean, the referee has his choice here if he wants to be able to foul. I believe it's going to be 55, Blake Harris.
That is the 5th team foul right now for NC State.
None on Vanderbilt.
Excuse me, 6th on NC State, which is going to be critical. They're going to be the bonus now, Vanderbilt, the rest of the way after this with 15 minutes to go. And NC State likes to play an up-tempo, brand of ball, 94 feet, speed you up a little bit. This can really change the game.
They have 4 players with 3 fouls. Lee just tucked it and ran with it and laid it in. Well, this is an interesting group here for NC State. Step back and Harris will bank it in. The former Missouri Tiger.
Good call. And then Harris grabbed the jersey of Lee. And Vlad Tadal saw it on the weak side official right away. You got a handful of jersey. I mean, take a look here. He's got the back of the jersey. And then whoop. That's an easy call. His second already. He's fortunate that that wasn't a compounded mistake because he took a terrible shot that went in. Behind the back, step back, the ball never moved, and he went bank from dead center. He didn't mean to do that.
Here we are in the 1-1 at the 15:07 mark. And Lee had one bad look at the foul line earlier tonight, but suddenly he's picked up his form. He's now 6 out of 8 for the evening from the line. Yeah, he's got his stroke back.
That's tough misses late in that Kent State game too, in which they fell by 2 points. Lee missed critical ones down the line, down the stretch.
Harris, and he'll draw a foul, and Lee will be hit, and he'll have the first personal on Vanderbilt in this half. And the Wolfpack fans behind their bench sarcastically clapping in appreciation, and Lee joins the 3-foul club.
Wolfpack fans can clap, but they have no complaints here. These fouls that were called were fouls. And now Blake Harris has come in this game ultra aggressive. He's got to be careful. It's the second time he just was driving right down and being, a little bit out of control, bailed out with a foul without getting the ball reversed at all or moved at all.
Braxton Beverly running the offense now. Vanderbilt, he'll try a 3.
Whoa. Good possession defensively, bad offensively. Again, that time Beverly held it in his hands almost the entire possession.
Oh, Wetzel gets a great pass. It did not go. Shitu showing his passing skills, but Wetzel will go to the line. Helms will be hit with his second foul.
Nice advance pass ahead. And then, when Shitu's in the open court, he is deadly, not just for himself. Look at that little pocket pass. Making 2, play 1, dropping it off to Wetzel. Couldn't finish, but he's got himself to the free throw line.
Rattled. It's 3 out of 6 from the line coming in. He had a good night against Savannah State. Most of the Commodores did in 15 and 7. Wetzel started his college career at a D2 school, St. Mary's, Texas. Transferred to Vandy after the 16-17 season. Vanderbilt will check out, and Wyatt Walker, 33, has come back in for the Wolfpack. Both free throws no good. Morgan got the rebound.
Missed layup is even bigger. Missed that layup that took 2 points off the board. You missed both free throws. That is huge.
Not surprised to see Torin Dorn back in for the Wolfpack. They need some stability. C.J. Bryce in there also. Oh, and he turns it over. Steal by Ryan. Lee racing down the floor. Ryan was left open for 3. He'll drive instead. Gets it back. And Vanderbilt is 1 of 14 from 3. Wyatt with a hustle, but it goes right to Ryan, who charges the rim, and it's a 5-point Wolfpack lead.
You never like to ding hustle with anything negative, but it's a cardinal sin of basketball to save the ball in your own hoop without seeing where you're throwing it. He just batted it away and gave away 2 points there.
And Harris will draw a foul. And that'll be 2 fouls on Shitu. So and for those who don't know, Dallin played at Columbia in the Ivy League. So when you're playing, how aware of you in the moment are you of your other teammates that are in foul trouble? When you realize, you talked earlier about how some guys have to be more careful because other guys have foul trouble. How aware of that when you're playing are you?
Well, depends on who it is. When they're key players to your team, you definitely know. If it's a bench guy, just being honest, if it's a bench guy, you know he's got 2 or 3 or 4. It's not top of mind. But if some of your better players have fouls at times, especially late games, if you need to give a foul, you know that guy can't foul. You got to go give. You got to give it up at times if you're saving a layup or if you're fouling late to put them on the line.
Oh, Lee tried to go for everything there. Got knocked down. He will go back to the line. I should mention Lee at 6'2". Went for the big flush.
Tremendous athlete and showing great explosion at the rim.
That's 2 on Torrin Dorn. Be the double bonus here, possibly before our next break. This will be his 10th and 11th free throws coming up. I don't know how he missed the 2 he missed. He's now 8 out of 10.
Again, I do think he straightens his legs so early that the shot is pretty flat, so he's got to be dead on for it to get it to go down.
Well, he's got 12 points, 8 of them from the foul line.
He doesn't get he's got to get the toe raised because he's not getting it from his legs, so his toes have to give him enough momentum to push that ball over the top of the front of the rim.
Dorn, 1-on-1 against Shittu. Hands to Walker, back to Beverly.
Icing the ball screen again, not allowing him to come off it, forcing him on one side.
Well, that was a rough possession. There's 6 seconds remaining.
There's no flow offensively to NC State's game right now. Part of the problem is they're not getting enough stops when the ball is live to go run it in transition. And secondly, their half-court offense is really grinded to a halt. A lot of dribbling, less ball movement, less player movement. They were really sharing the rock with 11 assists in the first half. It's a lot of dribbling right now.
There's a block with 1 second. Oh, man, I hear some more bodies. That just sounded painful. There's 1 second to shoot.
Here the Vanderbilt coaches yelling lob, lob with 1 second left on the clock as you see Cleveland Brown get a nice block.
Well, try it off there. It didn't work. And another rebound for Shittu. And NC State is now 2 out of 10 in this half in field goals. And Ryan's going to draw contact on C.J. Bryce. And that's only his first.
Kevin Keats upset once a travel before the foul. Joe Lindsay looking at him as he's just about a foot past the coach's box. Point of emphasis as Keats now realizes that and steps back, but they just can't get through a defensive possession without a foul right now.
Well, for one of the few times ever, I was right. We are in the double bonus before the break.
That Duke game not going off on time. Coming up after us, and we're excited to see it.
Is that allowed?
We might find out. They're tipping at 7:10, I'm told. But
well, we've got a nice little prelim for Duke and Stetson.
And people, the Duke fans tuning in will enjoy that. They got an ACC squad and SEC squads out here.
They'll be rooting for Vanderbilt.
I'm sure.
Walker.
Spin.
Yeah, it was a good spin. He's going to draw a foul. That's going to go against Cleveland Brown.
I thought he had him. If he went, used the rim as a defender, I think he could have reversed layup and finished there. But Brown in his head is a good shot blocker.
Brown's going to be in for the second foul. Brown is a good shot blocker. He's already had 1 in this half. He's had 3 or more blocks in 6 games. Bryce, 3-ball. Well, that was badly needed for NC State. Walker will get the assist.
And Walker pumps his fist hugely, and he deserves it. He was the one that worked hard, they sunk on to him when he got the ball in the post. He made the right decision to kick it out. Open 3, inside-out ball. That was better offense from NC State.
Oh, good pass there. Good interior passing by the Commodores, who keep it close. Again, a weird thing about this event. The teams that were trailing at the half or had to overcome double-digit deficits in the second half won the first 2 games today, but NC State not interested in that trend as a beautiful 3 from Daniels.
And that was where NC State's their best. They got the ball in bounds right away, got going downhill, drew the defense, kicked for an open three. When they can play fast, they're tough. Oh.
Daniels just plain lost it. Evans, he'll try a three, left-handed. Vandy, only their second made three of the night. They're 2 out of 15.
Hurts, Kevin Keats saying, just hold the ball. Daniels losing that inexplicably. Where Shitu's game's going to develop, though, too, is having a more solid, strong dribble. It's about his third turnover, just losing the ball off his hands.
But a big day here in South Florida. Hall of Famers, Alonzo Mourning, Artis Gilmore, Bob McAdoo, and Rick Barry.
Cancer is universal.
Life-changing.
Cancer is why I will never give up.
Cancer is something that's going to make me stronger.
It doesn't define you.
I believe that they can come up with a cure. I think we're just this close.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Join ESPN and the V Foundation in the fight against cancer. Visit v.org/donate. All donations benefit the V Foundation for cancer research. Dallin Cuff, Dave Lamont, and our ESPN crew courtside.
Might be one of the best things ESPN does is the Jimmy V Week. The amount of money they've raised for cancer research, and also putting their money where their marketing dollars are at in terms of matching all employee contributions as well.
Ryan will come down with a rebound off the miss by C.J. Bryce. Wolfpack led by a dozen at the break. Evans, 2 in a row? Not even close.
Looks like you almost got snake bit. When you go to shoot and they get your wrist, it was close.
That earns him a seat on the bench. I think it's just a coincidence. NC State, when you Vanderbilt, you wonder about their depth a little bit with Garland gone, and they're testing their depth. NC State has an excellent bench that averages about 32 points a game, and have dominated their opponents in the early part of the season, and they have 35 bench points today. Not going to get 3 there. The rebound tapped out to Johnson. Oh, no. Shitu turned that aside. That ball was deflected. And it's run down by Markel Johnson. Shot clock is not reset. Oh, that's good handles there. And an offensive rebound for C.J. Bryce.
Good to have Johnson back in the game. As you see, we showed you before, he went into the baseline stands, looked injured, came back out of the locker room. They left knee brace on right now and still in this game, obviously.
Daniels trying to drive on Brown, missed everything. Walker crashes the boards, everybody to the floor. The call is timeout.
Big play to get that rebound and call timeout, because if this had to go to another set of to lose possession, but they went through about a minute and 10 seconds right there of defense. That is wears you down physically and mentally. Big stop they end up getting.
So Beverly will check in for NC State. Sports Center tonight with Kenny Mayne and Michael Eaves after the Mountain West Championship game, with all the highlights, post-game coverage, and reactions from Championship Saturday. Who's going to make college football playoff? It's an intriguing Saturday, to say the least. The best from the gridiron after Fresno State, Boise State on ESPN and the ESPN app. That in itself, by the way, an excellent game, Fresno versus Boise.
Bummed for Mackenzie Milton getting injured with UCF, obviously, for him personally, but that team, if they would have won against Memphis and certain things fall their way, I just want to see them get a shot.
Well,
I just hate the fact
now.
that I get that,
Yeah,
but I think it's
ahead.
easier for the committee to say without him as their quarterback.
Oh, right.
That okay, we can't let you go. It's not your full complement of team. They already don't want them there, and they're already not going to get there most likely.
No, I don't
But I
think
just
so
would love
either.
to see them get a shot. You don't lose a game in 2 years,
Yeah, the
and you
thing is,
can't play for the title.
It's very simple, and I've talked to some people about this. It's their strength of schedule is hurting them.
I understand it, but it's the conference they're in. So I understand that we set up this cabal, the system where they can't actually break through. I get it, but it's just unfortunate.
Well, they've come back, UCF, to take a 1-point lead on Memphis in that game in the fourth quarter in Orlando. Meantime, it's a 2-point game here in Miami. The home of the Miami Heat, NC State had a 12-point lead. Vandy has never led in this game.
So not letting Bryce use that screen and change sides of the floor. He finally did, and the switch came a little late.
6 to shoot. Johnson. Bryce got open. Now he's got to hurry. Step back. Oh my, look at the frustration from Brown. I don't blame him one bit. A buzzer backbreaker.
Those are bad. They just hurt. They hurt. So you defended so well for 29.5 seconds, and then a contested shot like that goes down.
It's a 4-point lead. Lee, a little flipper, and it's a 2-point game again.
Tell what Bryce Drew's finding about his team today. They'll compete. They have battled through a really poor first 20 minutes. They've been much better in the second half.
Offensive foul, partner coming up on Wyatt Walker.
And another turnover on an offensive foul. That's 4 on Walker. We're going to take a look at the next break and see if that was a 2 or a 3. Vlad Tedal called it a 2, but they will look at the next dead ball, or next media timeout, excuse me.
So it could be 61 to 58, or stay the same at 60. Vandy's made 5 of their last 6 shots. Lee out to Ryan. That was a tough pass. Ryan, a tough shot. And a good box out by Vanderbilt, allowing Dorn to get the rebound. Quick fire 3-ball, too strong. And Ryan is right there on the spot. Timeout called by the Commodores. 11 seconds to shoot. Vanderbilt trying to do something they haven't done all night. Lead. All right, Chris, good stuff. Thank you very much. How about Stanford? What is that all about?
Young team they have there, and this is a team that went to North Carolina and really got beat down.
Yeah.
And then you wonder how your team's going to learn from that and get better from that. The second half was better in that game. Now they're going on the road to Kansas to play another big-time team and have clearly learned quite a bit from that experience.
Vanderbilt with a rebound off of the 3 by Shitu.
Travel.
Yeah, he did block. Yep, no question.
He's got to slow down. I think it's great when they play inside out. He doesn't have to try to score right away. Chin it for a second, take a look. If somebody sinks off you, maybe you kick it out, get it reversed, create a closeout situation. He's not exactly a dominant guy with his back to the basket.
He's had an interesting game. He had 16 points, has 16 points, all of those in the first half.
And a lot of those offensive rebounds he cleaned up, guys dropping balls off to him. That's where he thrives.
Yep, we're going to go to the line here with Cleavon Brown. We have been tied for just 54 seconds in this game. Every other minute has been with the Wolfpack in front.
And this is, again, that ball screen where they clear out that side, and they've had a lot of joy there. Throwing that little pocket pass, the weak side help just a step late, allowing Cleavon Brown to be there. About 3 or 4 times in the second half, they've been very successful just running that ball screen action on that side of the floor.
Brown struggles a bit at the foul line. He misses that one there. So now NC State has the 4-foul club. Wyatt Walker, who's come back in, number 33, is in it, and so is that guy, DJ Vanderbilt. Missed them both. C.J. Bryce gets the rebound. Wolfpack quickly into the front court. Markel Johnson. No, Vandy has 7 blocks. That won't count because of the foul. I think that was Naismith who took care of that. And that'll be his 3rd foul. It's also becoming obvious that you go into the middle on Vandy at your risk.
Yeah, a lot of athletes, a lot of size in this group. And now look at this tale of 2 halves. We talk about how Vanderbilt couldn't turn the ball over. In the first half, they did that. They were careless. On the other half, it's been totally different. They've been strong with the ball. They've been smart with the ball. They got going right from the jump. And NC State is what cued their change in attitude and energy was being so sloppy at the start of the game, to start the half. 4 straight turnovers to start the half. And I would say only half of those turnovers were forced. They were a lot of self-inflicted wounds by the Wolfpack that gave Vanderbilt life.
Markel Johnson, a couple of big free throws, and Vandy barely gets that ball in time.
And again, they love to pressure, but it's hard to pressure when you've had 10 fouls since the 14-minute mark.
Life without Darius Garland for Vanderbilt. Part 3. Freshman point guard, thought by many to be a potential lottery pick, was injured November 23rd against Kent State. Oh, off the glass by Johnson.
That is, again, a fortunate shot and a tough shot. I would say ill-advised, but he gets to go down.
NC State pushing the lead to 6. Has been as close as 2. And a timeout here used by Bryce Drew and the Commodores. He's got the board out very quickly.
Key possession here. You're down 5. It's under 6 minutes to go. Your team has played really well in the second half on both ends of the floor, play with great energy. What can you execute out of break here? Conversely, for North Carolina State, you haven't defended poorly. You fouled way too much, obviously.
Yeah.
That goes hand in hand. Bad positioning, not being smart, not executing. But they need to find a way to, when you're at these timeouts, to be really communicative when you come out and you start this next play, because you're not necessarily sure what they're going to run. You scout a lot of things. You run side out of bounds, baseline out of bounds, and shoot-arounds. But in these scenarios where a coach can draw up a one-off, you've got to be locked in and communicating.
Let's check in. Studio. Chris Cotter's got more news for us. Chris, it's all yours.
Okay, Dave, just to remind people, coming up next, R.J. Barrett, one of those great freshmen on this Duke team, taking on Stetson. We'll start this game over on ESPN News, and as soon as you guys wrap things up, we'll move it over here to ESPN 2. They're about 2.5 minutes away from tipping it up in Cameron, guys.
All right, thank you, Chris. We have 5:59 remaining here with the Wolfpack in front of Vanderbilt in the third of 4 games. And if you'd like to stick with the 4th game of this HoopHall Invitational, which will be the Miami Hurricanes and Yale, that'll be on ESPN 3 about 20 minutes after this game concludes.
I know I'm not supposed to say this,
but
I want some folks, of course, to go over to ESPN 3, watch Yale, Miami. It'll be a good game. Duke is must-see TV right now.
It is.
It is. I mean, those dudes, and it's not just R.J. Barrett and Zion Williamson and Cam Reddish. Trey Jones is a great freshman. Their veterans are playing at a high level. That team is fun to watch, but yes, it is led by the headlining freshman.
We have learned very quickly to respect this Yale team that's come into South Florida to take on the home team.
I learned that a long time ago when they beat me.
Well, yes, you had to deal with it personally. Walker with a rebound, had it tipped out of his hands, but right on the spot, Markel Johnson. We're under about 5.5 minutes in 3 seconds.
We talked about coming out of timeout. The first pass was off the mark. Ryan almost fell out of bounds. The whole timing of the play was thrown off. Again, young team executing out of timeout. Big shot by Johnson.
Well, the three-point shooting becoming a difference now. 5 out of 14 for NC State. Vandy, 2 of 18. And by the way, they're normally quite good at it. And it's back up to a 9-point lead. Vandy was the top 3-point shooting team in the SEC, and they get 3 there back from Matt Ryan.
Nice ball screen, roll and replace. Shitu rolled down to the block, drew some attention. Good throwback to Ryan, who was replacing him and buried the 3.
Johnson, tough shot, count the bucket. He earned every bit of that. Shitu hit with a foul. That's 3 on him.
And remember, Johnson left this game at about the 14, 15-minute mark with an injury, went into the locker room, comes back out with a left knee brace on. Doesn't look any worse for wear, because he's just made 2 humongous plays. That 3 before it, and then this little hesitation, gets in the lane. Unfortunately, Evans just was not defending. He was standing straight up when he closed out. Johnson able to go right by him and get into Shitu's body and get to the line and 1.
Good free throw shooter. Honorable mention in the ACC last season.
That side ball screen has been really successful for Vanderbilt, and they clear it out and run the side ball screen on the far side. I'd like to see that again, just because they need a basket here.
Ryan, who made a 3 last possession down. Shitu had it poked away, got it back. Another good pass. Ryan wisely withdrew when he realized he couldn't handle it. Tough three-pointer, and Johnson will clear the rebound. Here come the Wolfpack. Hit ahead pass. Beverly thought about the three and decides it's not there. Let's start over. May be able to hear Kevin Keats yelling one word: move. If his team hangs on, he will have his career 100th victory. Johnson. Oh, used the body beautifully. Boy, that was outstanding, and it's back to a double-digit NC State lead.
Just a great hesitation, and there was, everybody was locked in. There was no movement. It was a straight isolation. So at Vanderbilt, you've got to load up to the ball a little bit. Make Johnson, who's hot right now, kick it out to your man and then close out.
Tough drive. No. Would have counted had it gone in. NC State up 11 as we head to studio and a visit with Chris Cotter. Chris?
Dave Dallin, just a reminder to everybody watching, as you can see on the right, Zion Williamson and company, they're underway in Cameron, so they're just about 40 seconds into that game and still scoreless. Over on ESPN News, again, as soon as we wrap things up here between Vandy and NC State, we'll move Stetson and Duke over to ESPN 2. Until then, though, we'll take a quick break. Be right back.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Air Force Reserve. Explore your opportunities. Go to afreserve.com. And Citi, welcome what's next.
It is time to take a look at our Hall of Fame shining moment, brought to you by Zales.
No surprise here. It's Markel Johnson's play as of late. 12 points in the last 4 minutes. Coming back from that left knee injury that sent him to the locker room earlier in this half. Clearly not feeling any effects. No help there from Matt Ryan. He made some pay. Great hesitation as he went by Shit-2 and finished. That first shot that was the bank shot, that was an ill-advised shot. That was not a good look. It went in. But I'll tell you what, got him going a little bit because the next 3 plays were outstanding. Finishing through contact, big three, big jumpers, putting the team on his back when they needed him right now. Because bear in mind, their offense was very stagnant here.
You're right.
In the second half. They're
and
still
Vandy
shooting.
Was coming on.
Yeah, they're still shooting just 39%. And at that point in time, they were 5 for 18 from the field, which is just under 25. I wish over 25%. My math.
Wait, dude, you're an Ivy Leaguer. I expect you to nail that.
We don't even add in the Ivy League. At least I don't. I didn't.
Well, Vandy needs
no math classes required.
Oh, that's like broadcasting, yeah.
It's
precisely. That's why I have.
That's why it's a history major. You just run your map, but on paper.
History and lots of reading for me. We have a whistle and a foul. That's why we hire people like Paul Newman to sit there and count for me. And he tell me that Vanderbilt has missed 5 of their last 8 shots, trailing by 10, and NC State getting a foul against Naismith. He has 4 fouls now. It's beginning to add up for both sides. We'll get a look at the sophomore from Hazard, Kentucky, Braxton Beverly at the line.
Both these teams, so much of their offense is connected to their defense. When they can get stops and get out in transition, they're way better in terms of being able to score the ball. Vanderbilt the same way. As Johnson has taken over and made shots, they're taking the ball out of their basket, having to face the 94 feet of not insane pressure from the Wolfpack here, but just working the ball up the court, wasting some shot clock, and then a half-court defense, which they've struggled with.
So Vandy gets it back, 3:27 to go. They had worked a 12-point halftime deficit down to 2. Have never led in the game. Ooh, Lee came up short on the arm on the drive. Now a hit-ahead pass to Johnson from Helms, and Johnson's going to burn some clock. And he's going all the way, and he'll draw the foul. Again, you go up there, you've got not just Shit-2, but Cleavon Brown, who is listed at 6'8", but plays bigger.
He's been excellent the last 6-7 minutes, Markel Johnson. First makes the wise move to pull it out. You know, in the middle of the game, he would have gone one-on-one in the full court. Didn't need to, pulls it out, but then Lee's pressuring him so far from the hoop, he's able to go by him, and Vanderbilt's help defense was so late. He went by him 25, 30 feet from the hoop, and nobody addressed him. Nobody got there till he was at the rim.
Well, they give out an MVP trophy after every one of the games here in the Hoop Hall, and you might think that Markel Johnson, should this lead hold for the Wolfpack, would be the guy getting it.
Yeah.
The way he has finished it, the junior from Cleveland, coming off a career-high game against Wisconsin where he had 21 points. And Shittu unable to control that rebound. More time with the ball for NC State.
Johnson showed his versatility, too. He comes in here as 12 points, like I mentioned, in 4 minutes. But in the first half, he was just facilitating. He had 6 assists. He's also got 5 boards. Stuff the stat sheet.
He's just draining the clock here. Sees an open in the middle. Switches to the left hand. Now NC State has their largest lead of the night and a big second half for Johnson. That's going to belong to Vanderbilt with 16 to shoot. They're going to substitute a couple in here. Maxwell Evans and Matthew Moyer will come in. Brown's going to check out. And someone else is going to have to leave, and that's going to be Lee. So Johnson with 19 points for NC State. 5 boards and the 6 assists you talked about. And we have another rebound.
There you go.
NC State closing in on a 7th win to go against 1 defeat.
It was a big test for them to play another power conference team.
Question.
Coming off the Wisconsin loss. Again, a lot of new pieces as we've talked about in this game. They found out a little something about themselves. They also learned you got to play 40 minutes because they dominated the first half so much. They did not come out in the second half sharp, but they overcame it.
Well, the other nice thing for NC State is they got out of Raleigh.
Yeah.
They needed to get out of Raleigh. Yeah, you actually need to taste the road to understand that's going to happen, of course, in the guts of the regular season.
I mean, they tasted a lot in the Kohl Center. Going up to Wisconsin is tough.
Oh,
that's a heck of an eye-opener for you.
About a minute to go. NC State is going to hand Kevin Keats career victory number 100 on the sidelines, barring an epic comeback by Vandy here. Evans is going to lay it up. And I guess if you're Bryce Drew, what did you learn? You mentioned that they played hard and they did not give up in this game. But as far as life without Darius Garland, what have you learned about your side?
It's going to be hard, and it's going to be an adjustment. I think you learn that you have to be value the ball at all points in time. Take care of the ball, value the ball, play together on defense, communicate on both sides of the ball. All the little things, the attention to detail has to be done a lot better without Garland.
Well, next up for Vanderbilt. Well, you know what? Middle Tennessee State's not an easy team to deal with.
That can be tough.
Yeah.
Kermit Davis leaving, some graduations. Different team, but they are still a good program.
Yeah, and then Arizona State. That'll be after the exam break. December 5th will be the game against MTSU. Of course,
you want to see a great freshman, Lugan Dortz, freshman from Arizona State. Holy cow, can he score?
One of those games will be on the SEC network. For NC State, Western Carolina will be in Raleigh, and then they will take on Penn State on the 15th. That'll be after a 10-day break. Our player of the game brought to you by the Air Force Reserve, Markel Johnson. You see the numbers, and he has controlled this game probably at the last 7 or 8 minutes.
Winning time. When it came down to winning time, do you have guys that can take over the game? NC State had Johnson today, and that was also a question for Bryce Drew. When it comes down to the last 4 or 5 minutes, it used to be Darius's time. Liberty had 33 points, went and put him on his back, carried him to a win. Now without him, who's going to be that guy or guys that step up? That question remains to be seen for sure for Bryce Drew's team.
Well, they've won most of their victories this year, been by 16 points or more. They've had 4 by 25 points or more. 5 of their, now 6 of their, well, it depends on the 6. They may not get this win by 16, but 5 of what is now going to be 7 wins by 16 points or more for this team. But January's coming.
ACC is going to be rugged. So is the SEC. The two best conferences in college basketball.
Well, the Big Ten might want a word with you.
Big Ten has played really well. And yes, that conference is way deeper and way better than I thought at the beginning of this season. That is 100% true.
Well, Vanderbilt tonight, 3 of 21 from 3, 18 of 30 from the foul line. that will do it. The final score sees NC State on top in this one, 80-65. Congratulations, Kevin Keats, on win number 100. College basketball continues next with Stetson taking on Duke. For Dallin Cuff, I'm Dave Lamont. Thank you for joining us. Let's send you to Durham and Mike Cousins. Mike?